Hey YouTube, welcome to another video from Skinny Medic. I have my good friend Matthew here, TacticalComms, right?
TacticalComms, that's right.
Yep, cool. I'll put a link down to his YouTube videos. He just started a channel. You're at 100 subscribers.
That's right.
So we'll do another video when you do 100,000 subscribers and get you a plaque.
Yeah.
So you are a big comms guy, and I'm just getting started. We've been working together for a while.
Yeah.
As we're filming this video, I'll test in a week or so for my technician ham license. Pretty excited about that. Just adding another set of skills to what we do. We work together on the ERT team, so I do the medical side, he does the communications, and that's a big teamwork issue.
Yes.
If I can't relay to help, I can't get more resources, and that's a problem. So that's where Matthew comes in and is able to help me talk to other people. So I thought that would be a good video for you guys to hear, and because communication is always a problem.
Yeah.
So I just recently did a video on this little Cobra family network radio. This is like the little cheap Walmart radios you see, things like that. It's pretty much line of sight. It works good on our 5 acres, but beyond that, probably not so much.
Right.
So what are some other options that we can look at for these type of situations?
So that's a great question, and you know what you're dealing with is an FRS radio, family radio service. Family radio service by FCC rules is in the UHF band, and it's limited to low power. So you go to the store and you see a package and it says 20-mile range. Well, that's if you're out somewhere in the Ozarks and you can see for 100 miles. You know,
that's exactly what they said, 10 to 20 miles. And like, I know Justin be dangerous about comms now. I'm like, no way, I'm talking 20 miles.
No, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it.
Because there's no antenna. Like
No,
we're going to
right.
talk about it in a minute. You're really big on antennas, so not going to work so well.
That's right, and you know, and that's exactly right. So one of the things that you can do, the FRS radios may work for you and your family in a limited line of sight. And as you saw on our channel last weekend, I talked about the next video that we're going to do is how to build that comms plan. How to know when this is okay, but when do you need to escalate. So an option you can do, you can license for GMRS or General Mobile Radio Service, which is, well, it's a UHF radio, but it allows you to have more power.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to have a mobile mounted radio or maybe a base station. There are repeaters that are put up that can extend that range a little bit more. I recommend that everybody start working just like you're doing with your technician class amateur radio license. Most folks call it ham radio.
Yeah, and it's super easy. There's little cheat, I call them cheat guides, but basically I downloaded the app. Hamstudy.org has an app. You download it, it gives you the question. You're like, oh, well, C or whatever. You just keep going through the questions. There's YouTube videos on that, but it's basically memorizing the questions, memorizing the answers. So it's been pretty easy to go through. So far, we'll see when I actually test. I'm like, oh, I didn't pass, but
You'll be great.
But yeah, so there's apps out there for that. There's videos, so it's pretty easy. Now, once you think you get a little fun, like the general,
Yes.
so that a little more difficult. But at least getting into the foot in the door gets you at least started. And like we were talking about earlier, I think that's where I'll start learning how to operate ham radios, is actually doing it. So
Yeah, and that's a great point of it. Another good thing you do is, just like you talk about in some of the preparedness circles, is finding like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
So finding folks who do communications, who work on amateur radio, who that can help. In ham radio world, we call them Elmers, and it's the guys that kind of bring the next generation along. Today, in our line of work, or career-wise, we call them mentors.
yes.
And so, you know, that mentor, the fire station we call the senior guy, your job is to bring that next guy along.
You're always training your replacement.
Yes, always. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but share the knowledge.
Yep.
And so to your viewers, I would encourage you guys to find ham radio clubs, find organizations that are communications minded, and start, because ham radio is ham radio, public safety communications, but the RF theory is the same. It's just different types.
Yep.
So I would encourage everybody to start working on a ham radio license.
All right, so we first started talking, first the prepper world went nuts over these little Bofang radios. You could buy them super cheap, and they are what it is. Like, I understand this is a limitation, and I probably have a dozen of these radios laying around, to be perfectly honest with you. Because when you first get in the prepper, like, it's the first thing you need. Like, you need a Mosin and you need a Bofang. Like, if you're going to be a prepper, true prepper, that's what you need. And so when we first started talking about ham radio stuff, you were like, man, I do not like these things.
Yeah.
Go get this radio, look at these. But then you kind of changed your mind a little bit.
I did. And it's funny, I still am very, and I guess maybe it's the years that I've been in communications, I've had the opportunities to see what works, what don't. And like we talk about, finding those extremes, where communications doesn't exist. And so I'm not a fan of the Bofang. However, in the preparedness world is things that just thinking about that what if scenario.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I like about the Bofang radio is having that FM stereo, FM broadcast receiver on it, because
Yes.
getting real time information from local broadcast entities is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about it, what you can dial in on your car stereo. Now I'm not talking about XM radio, but your car stereo, you can actually program those channels in on your Bofang as well, and that's something that a lot of amateur radios don't have.
Right, you can get weather alerts,
Yep.
traffic alerts. I mean, if there's some emergency happening, they're probably going to be talking about it on the radio.
That's correct.
So you can talk about it. The other thing that we've kind of talked about, and I'm starting to work on this, is like when you're trying to talk to people, hit a repeater, other traffic, battery, you want it fully charged as possible. Antenna is another big thing you can do with these things. So like this one, we have a charger for it, but be able to swap out and put some AA batteries in here
Correct.
is a cool feature. And then the antenna.
That's right.
So we did like a little personal training thing where there was the jungle antenna,
The
right?
jungle antenna. That's right.
So Saturday morning, jungle antenna, and I'm like, man, this thing is crazy. Like he's got me throwing rocks up in trees, stuff like that. I'll show you some pictures here. And we did some training. We were not able to hit the repeater from the property we were at.
From the handheld with the factory.
Correct. Yeah, this antenna it was just like a Motorola radio,
Yeah.
whatever. Regular first responder radio, we'll call it that, and was not able to hit the repeater. So we throw a rock up in a tree, and we make this triangle antenna, and I'm being very vague here,
Yeah.
but we key up and we hit the repeater. I was like, that's cool as crap.
Yep.
Less than 24 hours later,
right.
we get a call for a person who fell off of a waterfall very up in the mountains of our area. There was plenty of medics already on scene. I was late to the scene, so I went to the command center, and the command post was like, man, we cannot talk to our dispatch. Like, I'm not able to talk to the first responders because they're on a line of sight radio, or the frequencies just talking radio. Couldn't hit the repeater. And I was like, well, hey, give this a shot. So I throw a rock up in a tree. I run the antenna. We've got coax cable. I'll build my antenna triangle. Coax cable comes down. He keys up. He hits the repeater.
Yep.
And he was like, that's awesome. He was not able to hit it with his mobile radio in his truck, which has a bigger antenna. But now we built antenna using a handheld, and he was able to hit that repeater. And I would come out looking pretty good on that. So I was like, yes, I didn't do any basic care, but still looked out pretty good on that one. So
But that's a important part is we all on a team, we all have our places on a team, we all have a job to do. And whatever your job on your team, your circle that you're building, I think that's very important, is being the best that you can be in your job at that team. And then on top of that is learning another skill of somebody else on that team, because 2 is 1, 1 is not.
definitely. So and what was the other radio you liked?
I love the Anytone radios. And Dietrich laughs at me because I'm not a Bofang fan, but there are places there too. None of us have a single tool in our toolbox that does every job. I'm a big Anytone fan. This is my radio, and as you can see, it's not the factory antenna. It's a dual band, but it also does digital, or DMR, digital mobile radio, which is a very popular mode in amateur radio. It's available on 2 meters and 440.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you another set of tools. It's compatible with your Bofang radio, so as you build your comms plan and you're finding a 2 meter frequency, it'll work in this radio too.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, a 440 or 70 centimeter. The one thing, if you go to digital mode, the Bofang that you have won't do the digital mode.
Correct.
So you have to keep that in mind with your circle, that when you build your comms plan, making sure it's the lowest common denominator for the folks on your team.
Correct.
But I love this. Most of the accessories that you have for the Bofang are available for the Anytone. This is the D868, and there's a company that makes these custom stickers that replace the Anytone. Got my call sign.
Nice.
I love that. The 878 is the newest version. It's got APRS, which is a digital, it's considered digital, but it's like a location text message service that's on amateur radio.
Nice.
Works well. It's pretty cool.
I definitely think ham radio is something that we should all be looking at. We were just talking about, like, when I travel in my truck, I have the scanner that you can punch in zip codes, and it also has a GPS system that'll pull down the local frequencies there. So to be able to hear what's going on, and now to be able to communicate with other ham radio license, things like that, or what's going on in emergency is super important. So I think you guys, I would encourage you all to look at your ham radio license. So.
Absolutely, and then of course I'm going to share your video on my channel as well, and I'll post a link, and you'll do the same for QRZ.com.
Yep.
It's a great tool, place to get started. And then ARRL.org is another great resource. You can find some local ham radio clubs in your area to start working with that.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else you want to add?
No, thanks for having me.
Cool.
I enjoyed being here.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. You never know when you'll be the first responder. Remember the right gear and the right training.